Good afternoon, Zachariah Jackson, Bassett News. Today I'm in Newark, and it's about 7 months away from the election, is that right?
That's right.
I'm interviewing Anthony Diaz.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's been about, 4 years since I interviewed you and your crew. Anthony, you reached out to me, I reached back, and I didn't know it was so close that they're getting ready to campaign for the next mayor of Newark.
Yes.
And somehow, that could be you.
Oh, it most certainly will be.
So Anthony, we're so early at this point, and I guess I was thinking 2020. Well, I did 22, but I guess with the COVID and everything kind of fogged our mind. Anthony, what inspired you to want to run for mayor of Newark, New Jersey?
I think the first thing that really inspired me to run for mayor, and I'll put it like this, it wasn't an easy decision. Okay. It wasn't an easy decision by any stretch of the imagination. But when you look at the political environment that this country is in, this state is in, and this city's in,
sure,
people are talking about things that, to me, aren't important.
Right.
We need to switch the narrative. We need to change what's going on, and the only way to do that is by using bigger and better platforms to talk about the things that we really want to talk about, or I should say, things that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And, as an organizer, with the Newark Water Coalition, you're out there helping people, but that can only go but so far.
Okay.
There's only a certain amount of resources you have. There's only a certain amount of volunteers you have until you realize, I have to do something about this system. I have to do something about policies. And the only way to do that is, you can run for council,
sure,
and you can, get a few ordinances on the books. But if you run for mayor of the city of Newark, you can establish institutions in this city that will last generations.
Anthony, you're running not as a Republican and not as a Democrat. You're running as an independent.
Yes.
So you would be dealing on the city council with people that's Democrat now. Is there any Republicans?
So I don't believe there's any Republicans on the city council. I think they're all Democrats.
All Dems, right?
But I once heard when I was younger that there is no Democratic or Republican way to pick up trash. You just pick it up.
All right.
So when I look at that, I'm willing to work with anybody.
But will they work with you though?
That's the question. Yeah. But a lot of people like to paint me as like, oh, he's too radical. His
no. Not because of that.
Oh, okay.
Not because of that.
Just because of party lines?
Just because of the party line that you talking independent. Mm-hmm. I'm not none of the other stuff.
Well, I think what I would hope is that people, once they hear the common sense approaches I have, they'd be willing to work with me.
Oh, okay. So what at this point in challenge, what do you see need to be done, need to be tweaked that perhaps our current mayor is not doing? Because the city, has changed in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
It takes quite some time to get through Newark now. Like where before, you could drive from here to 78 in less than 10 minutes. But I guess the influx of business that, those business hours, it takes quite some time to get, to and from Newark, and stuff. I live about 5 blocks from you, and it took me a minute to get over here,
Yeah.
And stuff. So, what would you do different?
Oh, there's a lot of things that I would do different. One of the things that I'm adamant about is mental health.
Okay.
Mental health. We were talking earlier about hey, how do we reach these kids? What do we do for these kids? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I've realized as an organizer is that we have normalized a lot of things in our community that isn't normal.
Okay.
So, if I had a magic wand, and gave everyone $1 million, that wouldn't be the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. What we need to do is figure out the internal problem. We need to figure out why, let's get at the bottom of why we're coping the way we are. And the only way to do that is health. I want to have the most funded health department in the country. Mm-hmm. I want to make mental health a priority of my administration.
And then people come and say, Well, what bring on the mental health here in Newark?
Well, when you look at, I looked the other day at the census tract, and the median salary of a household is $34,000.
Okay.
Do you know when I was in high school, it was the same? I
How
was
long-
in
how long
17 years ago.
We haven't
17 years ago. The median household income is $34,000. Now, you know, we're aware of inflation.
Sure,
we're aware,
sure.
especially now where we
Of
see
course.
prices going on the rise.
Sure.
So when you can't get by anymore on that same salary, what are you doing? You still got to eat.
Sure.
You still got to live.
So what would you do to change that salary, Anthony?
I think instead of offering people jobs, we need to offer people careers.
Okay.
And the way we do that is by making sure we're incubating or holding a space where people can actually develop the skills they want to develop.
Okay.
Not, we want to pour all this money into STEM because we know coding and computers is the wave of the future. But that's not for everybody. There's some people that want to sing. There's some people that want to paint. There's some people that want to dance.
Sure.
And you can make a living like that.
Sure.
But where are the resources to help you foster that talent,
Sure.
that creativity, help you become an individual? How we fix or begin to fix the city,
Sure.
we have to show up for ourselves.
All right, now I'm gonna have to say this right here. Yesterday they launched the job bus that's around Newark. There's actually a bus that's going around and actually have where you can be interviewed, applications and things of that nature and stuff, and teach you how to be an interview. What do you think of that? Yeah.
I think it's a step in the right direction, but
Sure.
you also have to understand there's 319,000 people in the city.
Okay.
One bus isn't going to solve, the plight of jobs in the city of Newark. I think, it has to be multifaceted. See, that's where, we do the bus, but then what are the hours of the bus? Are they running, alternative to where people work? What neighborhoods are they working in first? Where, there's so many aspects of the program, and this is where I talk a lot about the administration where, they have these good things on paper,
Sure.
but they're not executed well.
Okay. So what would you do different?
So we have high schools and community centers all over Newark. They need to be opened up when alternative to a normal working day,
Okay.
because you have people that work third shift, second shift
That's
that necessarily can't access a bus that's operating, a 9 to 5 schedule.
That's right.
So let's give those people an opportunity. Let's open up all of these community centers to classes and workshops. Like, at one time, I used to know you could go down to the public library and do anything. I mean, they still offer classes like ASL and things like that. But why isn't every branch offering resume building? Why isn't every branch offering some kind of credit course from Essex County or Rutgers or NJIT?
Sure.
We have all these colleges in the city of Newark, and we have great programs, but you know what? They don't go far enough. And if the head chief executive officer of the city is not demanding this of the institution, which is the mayor,
Okay.
if he's not demanding this of partners around the city, then what's up? So these are the things, and like I said, I don't think there's any one right way to do this. I think we just need to start doing different things.
Sure. But are you aware, and I guess you are because of your coalition, that sometimes even when you do good, in a terrible situation, you still have people to come and fight against you.
Yeah.
Even when you try, you figure like, hey, I'm not ready to borrow.
I know that.
Okay. All right. So, do you think that maybe the mayor faced that same thing, and if you become mayor, that you would face that same thing? You have good ideas and good intentions, but out of nowhere, a person that you thought that was going to support you, come out, with a quick horn, How would you deal with that?
So I've been organizing since high school. So like I said, I graduated high school 17 years ago. Mm-hmm. There have been times where my direct friends have disagreed with me. They said, "Oh, we don't like the way you're doing this. We don't think you should be doing that way." And honestly, it was hard, right? It's just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean you don't trust them. Sure. That's the first lesson I had.
Okay.
The second lesson is no one is above criticism.
That's right.
Including myself.
Okay.
No one is above criticism.
But what about support? Because some of these things that you're talking about, you're going to definitely need the support of the city council. You're going to need that support. And if, again, You may have good gestures, as many mayors have had here, in the city of Newark, but there will be people that, even though you're right in what you say, but for whatever reason they decide not to go along with you. How would you deal? Because as an independent.
But so that's the whole point of this campaign is like, the tagline or the phrase that I've been using is organize. I'm not preaching that I'm Jesus and I'm going to come and save the day. What I'm preaching is that we have the power within ourselves to do it if we decide to organize our community. Okay. There is no problem that I do not believe that organizing cannot solve. And what, the thing is that in the last 4 years, I have helped build a community of water people around the Newark Water Coalition. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it. I've seen the impacts of that community. I've seen what our supporters look like. And so when you have that people power, then you can apply pressure to this old council that needs to get with the program. Okay. So, it's not about party lines. It's not about ideas. It's about saving our people. If you're with saving our people, then let's do something different. Because, again, 8 to 9, 10 shootings in the last 3 to 4 weeks. Sure. That's not, something has to change.
How would you change that?
Again, with the resource centers. The first group I would try to tackle is that 21 to 26 years. Because, that's the group that's a young adult, you're out of school, you don't really know where to go, you might be working a dead-end job, you want to see opportunities out there, but where do you go? There should be, every office in the city of Newark should have a program built to this age demographic. Okay. And they don't. They don't. If we wanted to do something now, where do you go? Who do you turn to? And if they do have the program, is it funded? Okay. Is it advertised? Is the marketing around it? That's the thing is like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm just trying to make sure that, when we say we do something, we're executing it at the highest of levels. We're marketing it. We're working with MPS. We're working with public safety. We're working with different departments that we didn't think we would work with before to make sure that this happens.
I'm going to say something, Anthony, that's probably a little bit different than what you normally hear.
Yeah.
You, Newark, you lifetime Newark. My family has been in Newark since 1927. We moved to Elizabeth in 1923. My grandfather died in 25, and then my grandmother moved here to Newark in the Central Ward in 1927. So I'm a lifelong Newarker. Yeah. I'm looking at next year 99 years in New Jersey, and of course I'm going to celebrate 2023 100 years in New Jersey, and Elizabeth, Newark.
That's right.
All together.
Yeah.
All right. I love Newark. A lot of people think I love Newark because I don't know anything else.
No, that's all Newark.
You understand?
Like,
I know nothing else. I'm in a box. People tell me I'm in a box and things and stuff. But I say this right here, that so many people I have to encourage that's here in Newark. I have to encourage them about Newark. Your love for Newark, my love for Newark. But I meet people that has benefited from Newark, or that's in these different circles that when you talk to them privately, they don't like it. Yeah. So how would you change that? And that's got to be something that could really help to forge a better Newark if people really liked where they live at, if they really liked the town, the city rather.
I think, because I get that I've traveled the world. So just recently I did. I'm coming from the United Nations conference. I've seen 8 countries in 3 weeks. Okay. 8 countries in 3 weeks. But there's no place like home. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about Newark. I don't know what it is about Newarkers that we just have like this strong, like, it has to be Newark. Like we have, whatever we work, it has to be Newark. But I realize everything that I am, as a man, as a person, is because of this city.
The city, yes.
Because of this. The good, the bad. I've gotten jumped on Irvin Turner. I've had moments of profound joy and moments of profound sadness. Sure. But it's because of this city. Mm-hmm. I'm able to stand tall and wear it like a badge of honor that I'm from here. Sure. This is, when we look at America as a whole, and when we look at the world, and we look at like, you know, the establishments of like these black cities and what it really means.
Yeah.
And what it could be. I'm a sucker for potential.
Sure, sure.
So I always try, I'm an organizer, I just sell the dream, right?
Yeah,
I just sell the dream.
Yes.
Think of the possibilities of what a black, you know, Mecca looks like on the East Coast.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that I liked, I learned early on, like a fun fact was like the Chitlin Circuit was down here. Newark Bears.
Yeah.
Like all of these amazing things. We should be proud of this city. We should stand tall. But that's not what we're known for. We're known for the violence.
Sure.
We're known for the garbage.
Sure.
We're known for corruption and all of this other stuff. But life is a balance.
Sure.
You cannot have the good without the bad.
Sure.
And you cannot have the bad without the good.
So how would you get, I think that a lot of the balance could probably come to a cease if you could impart a lot of that love that you have, or that I have for the city of Newark. And how would you do that? How would you, you know, when a good many people don't seem to think that they are in Mecca.
You know,
they seem to think that they're in a state of Jahiliyyah.
So when I was in Rutgers, Newark, I didn't finish, but when I was there, they offered a history class on Newark, and you're like, oh, you know what? I'm from here. I know everything. But then you start realizing that there's the history that's here goes far deeper than you could ever imagine.
Sure.
So I think, you know, when we promote things like the downtown area or the Halsley Street, Newark is 5 wards.
Yes.
There's something beautiful about each ward.
Yes, it is.
There's something magnificent. Like, you know, you go to the Ivy Hill section and you look at, like, you know, these big buildings or the park or just like, you know, South Orange Avenue, the Weequay section. I grew up. I was born in Maple and Weequay. You know, I got a sense of pride looking at Little Maple and Big Maple and Beth Israel and being from that area and the park. You know, in the North Ward, you have Branch Brook Park.
Sure.
There are all these things. East Ward, you know, just all these things where people, you know, outside see the benefit. Halle Berry just shot a movie here.
Wow.
You know, it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I think a lot of people just don't see these things. They don't hear these things. And if they hear them, it's in a superficial way.
Okay.
It's like, oh, Newark is a stop through on the, you know, on the way to New York. But that's not, for us, that's not the case. And I think a lot of that is done 2 ways. Education and exposure. Because like you said, you know, when you are out there, it's easy to be caught up in like, oh, this is the box I live in. I'm comfortable in this box.
Sure.
But when you look at the rest of the world and you go on and you travel to different places, you know, recently I realized, again, traveling all around, I realized we have one of the best airports in the world.
Yeah, a good airport, yeah.
I used to not believe that, but now that I've been out there,
you see it.
I've seen it. I've seen it myself. So it's nurturing this sense of pride in a way that fosters hope.
Yeah.
That doesn't foster negativity. It's not about like, oh, my block is better than your block. It's about our community as a whole has a lot to be proud about.
Yes. Newark has given birth, has been truly the mother to many. That, you know, sometimes the mother had bad kids. You know. But again, what about the party line? You're not a Republican and you're not a Democrat in a Democratic city.
Yeah.
Do you share why that you...
Well, you know, the thing that I realize is, you know, I've always been one of those guys that marches to his own beat. Sure. You know, that's been the totality of my life. That's why I've started organizations. That's why I do the work that I do. That's why, you know, I organize in the way that I have. But when I look at both the Republicans and Democrats, I look at what they talk about. What is it that really holds to them? And when you see it, both parties, you see a lot of hypocrisy. Sure. Now, I'm also a man of faith, and I understand you don't look at the practitioners of the faith. You look at the faith. That's but when you look at the institutions and how they have co-opted a lot of this momentum in order to move us forward, you're like, I can't rock with this. There's just something fundamentally that I don't believe can be accomplished within these both parties. Because historically, at least from when, growing up, I haven't seen them make moves. I haven't seen them make changes.
Sure.
We've had the same Democratic leadership for almost a quarter of a century.
But who would we replace him? Are we comfortable enough? And even though, I'm a Democrat, and I guess I do what Jimmy Carter said about Ronald Reagan. He said Ronald Reagan quote Democrats, but vote Republicans, whatever. And I look at both sides. Mm-hmm. I remember when President Carter got in the White House, and I thought for sure that he would make Martin Luther King Day a birthday, a holiday, but he didn't do it. Ronald Reagan signed for it. And so, I guess what I do, I look at, you take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, just to make this pie or make this cake work, are we strong enough to believe that there's going to be a party that's going to come along with no problems and things like that? Are we strong enough by faith to believe that?
I think you have to. You have to understand that, one of the things I talk about a lot is how we're never the same person, right? Tomorrow you wake up, you have a culmination of all the experiences you lived out today. Now, if our political parties are not constantly evolving, if they're not constantly meeting the needs of the people, then you throw the baby out with the bathwater and you move on and you progress, because we can't keep going. We win rights and then we ping pong back. We win rights and then we ping pong back. It doesn't make sense. That's like insanity. We got to charge forward now more than ever, especially because of COVID. Mm-hmm. COVID has shown me the world can change very, very quickly.
Sure.
Very, very quickly.
Sure, yeah.
So then why are we fundamentally talking about the same issues, same problems, same parties as before? We're on a whole nother, we have to go forward.
Sure.
And we're not doing that. We're just not doing that. Even if, it would be one thing to say, okay, we've replaced the city council with younger Democrats, sure. Right? That would be a completely different argument, because I even vouch for that. But we haven't, because of the machine.
But then there's a possibility then, though. There's a possibility.
Oh, there's always, yeah.
And do you think that, because I hear that people talk a lot in Democratic-dominated communities, that we need another party, but do we actually need another party, or do we need new constituents? Would that change it? Would that, you understand me, sometime a new,
I would say I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. I think we need an educated constituency, mm-hmm. because an educated and a healed constituency doesn't tolerate the nonsense that goes on in office.
Okay.
And then I think, we need a new party. My personal belief, because of the last couple of years I've worked on climate.
Sure.
So understanding that neither party really, really beholds themselves to climate.
Sure.
Maybe on paper they do, but they don't really want to tackle the issues because they don't want to go up against corporations.
Sure.
And that's fine. That's their stake. I'm not going to challenge them on that. But what you see is that there's a big disconnect between, and I'm 35 years old, there's this big disconnect between that 35 millennial age and younger.
Sure.
They've grown up in a different world. They've seen the hypocrisy of the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe that the opportunity is out there for them. And then we can't be, constantly preach this pick yourself up by the bootstraps mentality. Because it's just not realistic. No man is an island. No person in this world has built themselves up. Whether you're Jeff Bezos, sure. Elon Musk, or if you're Anthony Diaz. Yeah. We all have worked or moved forward in life with the help of others.
Okay, that's the truth, right there.
Yeah.
But in this area here, the light of moving up is befriending or being a part of the Democratic Party. This is definitely a Democratic community. Yeah. I'm just saying what it is.
But that's the and I'm glad you said that, because that's the thing, right? Why run? Why run for mayor? It's because you know what? That is the case.
Yes.
And nobody's afraid to say anything. Nobody will say it publicly. Nobody will say it on camera. Nobody will say it in an interview. Hey, this is broken. We need to fix it.
Sure.
And so by running, I'm able to say these things. Mm-hmm. I'm able to push this platform. I'm able to say, you know what? Let's change something. Oh, why should we believe in you? Hey, you know what? The last 4 years, that's what I've been doing.
Well, you know, Anthony, when I look back at the presidencies, I can count back. I can count from Hoover, right? We're going to do this. Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush the father,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton, Bush the son, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and right now, the president we have now.
Yeah.
Joe Biden.
That's impressive, by the way.
Okay. Thank you. I feel like you said that. And, you know, I read a lot of political books. A lot of it has to do with the history of my family, and I like to get the gist of where they at, where they came from, mm-hmm. and the movement of them. As I read them books, I remember or look back on the time, and if it's 43, 53, 63, I remember all that. I mean, I take all that in and say, okay, well, all right, this is what helped focus their mind, helped develop them and things. This is what they're made of and things of that nature. And I guess at this point of challenge, I just say, you know, hooray, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do it, okay, we're going to see. You know, yeah. I hate to, to be like that, but I guess that's what we're looking at today, you know, and I guess that's what everybody out there feel now. How is it that you're going to come along, Anthony Diaz, independent, and convince us that Hosanna is at the highest? Because without secretly crucifying us.
Because here's the thing is that, you know, that's what I've been doing the last 4 years. Okay. You know, I was crunching some numbers for the organization. This year alone, as an organization, we've given out over 30,000 pounds of food.
Wow. We've
given out, in the lifetime of our organization, over 40,000 gallons of clean water.
All right, for the public, can you announce what your organization is?
Oh, so I'm one of the co-founders of the Newark Water Coalition. If you can see behind me, it says, we demand clean water. It's from one of our previous protests. So that's my day job. That's what I do is every day I work on the Newark Water Coalition in the city of Newark, New Jersey, providing resources to our residents and opportunities to our community. Yes. And so that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm not waiting for the position.
Okay.
It's organizing my community to make change. We have 2 community fridges. And as a result of our community fridges, the city opened up.
Yes.
We're using a partner in the South Fork.
Well, I could hardly get in your house. Let me just tell you. I could hardly get in here because with the bag that I carry, it's on wheels and all the food that you got sitting around here. Yeah. You know, I figured ShopRite had dropped off a lot of stuff for you.
No, we go to partners and we pick that food up. That's the thing, right? That is the difference between me and probably every other candidate in this race.
But if you become mayor, right, would you have time for that?
But yes, because what I plan on doing is taking the organizing I'm doing right now at a hyper local level, you know, block by block. Now I get to organize with the city of Newark and all of its resources. Mm-hmm. I have proven what I can do with very little. Now imagine what I can do with a lot.
So if you get that bully pulpit as mayor, you could do a great deal more than what you're doing now.
Exactly, and what I've done now is tremendous.
And you think,
tremendous.
Let me ask you this right here. Do you think that you could do more than the previous 5 mayors? I'm going back to Addonizio, Gibson, Sharpe James, Cory Booker, well, last 4, and 5, and Ras J. BARAKA.
I think so. Right. I think so. You know why? Because no matter what, and I've done That's the thing, right? I've traveled the world.
Mm-hmm.
I've done interviews.
When you say you traveled the world, where have you been?
I've been, so this recent trip, I went to the Czech Republic, Spain, Paris, France, Copenhagen, Denmark, London, Scotland, which, UK, I guess, Iceland. And I've also been to Thailand and Puerto Rico and, Canada and Mexico. So I've seen a lot of this world. And, one of the things I realize is that there's no place like home.
Sure.
There's never a place like home. But I also realize that when you want to do the right thing, you can do it. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at those communities, and I met organizers in those places, and you're like, we have conversations, and we're like, this is the way forward. Mutual aid, that's what we call it. Mutual aid is the way forward. Now, how do we begin to expand those programs? How do we really begin to push community? One, I believe it's the mental health aspect. 2, the education. 3, the exposure. Okay. 4th, how are we providing these resources? How are we utilizing these resources? So, again, I'm not preaching that, I'm coming on this donkey. What I'm preaching is that we can do this together.
We can make the change.
We can make the change. We have it. We have already.
Okay, just to be fair, and you don't have to, but, I heard an interviewer say to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, say something nice about each other, and they were posed with that challenge. They had to say something. If you wanted to say something nice about Mayor BARAKA, what would you say?
So it's interesting because I had an interview earlier today and they asked me the same question. And I was like, I think it's cool that he hangs out with celebrities. Like he knows Lauryn Hill. He was on, that is cool. No matter what, I'm not going to take that away from him. Yeah. So I would say that that's probably the most nicest thing I can say about Ross.
Do you think that the city has changed in any way towards greatness with BARAKA?
I think that the policies, if executed, would be a tremendous achievement. Mm-hmm. But that's the problem, is that they're not executed. Like our inclusionary zoning. I would say that rent control, that there's a lot of these policies that we have like one of the strongest rent control ordinances in the country. Mm-hmm. If our CCRB could have subpoena power, we would have one of the strongest CCR, Civilian Complaint Review Boards, in the country. Sure. But those things aren't happening. So I think that there are policies on the books that could be a testament to his legacy. But I feel at this point that the negative far outweighs the good.
And can you share a little bit of the negative?
Oh man, the time that they got caught selling drugs and guns out of the rec center over there.
JFK?
I don't think it was JFK. I think it was up here on by Branchbrook Park. That pool.
Well, that rotunda.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, now let me ask you this way, because we talked about this here before we cut the cameras on. Now, can we actually blame the mayor for the tardiness of the constituents? Can we actually say that? Because me and you talking on a real level.
Yeah,
talking about grown men,
absolutely.
And people that love Newark. But
I was a retail manager for 16 years. Mm-hmm. 16 years. If one of my associates did something wrong, did the district manager ever blame that associate? No, absolutely not. They blame me. Mm-hmm. This is what you allow in your store. This is what you allow in your house. Mm-hmm. And so that's one example, right? Mm-hmm. What Ernest Turner signing checks for himself, the tax assessor for the city of Newark, caught by the DOJ. Mm-hmm. West Ward Councilman Joseph McCollum, caught by the DOJ accepting bribes. Mm-hmm. He's on your ticket, right? Or was on your ticket previously.
Sure. But
this is your tax assessor, right?
But can we, again, being that I'm kind of getting the gist of when I talk to people, interview people, and I hear them, and I hear their experiences, I see how their mind has developed. you've been to many different lands. Czech Republic, and that was probably under the Soviets and Union years ago. And
Definitely.
So you've seen many different ups and downs. I mean, if you go, you could kind of feel like, hey man, this story is kind of like what the story we have here. And my question is this right here. I know we do it. They do it in New York. They do it in Philadelphia. They do it all over. But is it a fair shot to blame the mayor, right? To blame the mayor team, to blame the mayor for the tardiness of some of his teammates? Can you really hold that? Can you hold that against him? Come on.
Yeah, I can. You know why? Because in the same breath, we all know the nepotism that goes on in City Hall. So when you breed this, when you foster this environment of, well, I'm not going to put the right person for the job. I'm going to put someone who's a yes man. I'm going to put someone who's a supporter. I'm going to put someone who won't criticize me in this role. Then it trickles down. And that's why you have all of this, craziness, both at the city level, the local level, because we see it. Like you just said earlier, right? That the Democratic machine is the one who gives all these people their jobs. So the Democratic machine knows who's they're putting in these positions. And they're not the right candidates for the job.
I'll say this right here. 1980, 1977, I wasn't old enough to vote for Jimmy Carter. But I really believe that Jimmy Carter was going to sign the bill for Dr. King's birthday, and things of that nature. I really thought that he would do that, but he didn't. Ronald Reagan did it. I also, campaigned the best I could for Barack Obama, and I was quite sure in 2013 when it was Emancipation Proclamation 150-year anniversary, I was sure that when I looked at that state union address that he was going to mention it. It wasn't mentioned. So a lot of times, we want our guy to do this. You know what I mean? We still love him. Now I have great love for Barack Obama. I bought his book and everything. In fact, I brought a friend of mine, Michelle's book, and I went to see Michelle down there when she was at
the Barclays.
The
Prudential. I saw her at the Barclays Center.
And great stories and things that she revealed to us. But again, on 2013, I was waiting. I was watching the State of Union address, and I was waiting. In fact, I even got a copy of it to make sure that maybe it went over my head, but it wasn't mentioned. But I still like Barack Obama. So that's the whole point of going back to the tagline of this campaign is organized. Yeah. There are no heroes. Yes. You realize everybody, we are human. We are human beings.
We are fallible.
Yes, Lord.
There are no heroes. No. And all I'm preaching is organize.
Yes.
Just organize. Now, what are Newark Forward? I become mayor, you become mayor. Like, I get it. It's like building all these inclusivity things. We want to feel a certain type of way, but the realization is that if we want things to change, who's it on? Who can you control ultimately?
Yourself.
Exactly.
And that's the point that I'm bringing.
But
that sometimes you would bring somebody along, right?
Yeah.
Even in your party, I'm not making no waivers for the mayor.
Yeah.
But you would bring somebody along, and you think that they're cheerio with you. You have. I mean, you grew up in the city. You've had fights.
Exactly.
Okay. So have you had friends that come along with you on a fight, and you just knew you had somebody that was going to throw, because that was going to be the Robin to your Batman, and instead of the Robin, there was what was it, Flash, and ran the other way and left you right there. Come on, Anthony, now. Come on now. People do it now.
When you have some of my best friends in this life have been the ones that called me out.
Go on.
They say, "Hey, you're messing up. Hey, you're not doing the right thing."
Yes.
And the ones that are willing to listen when I hold them accountable, and I listen when they hold me accountable.
But what about the ones that actually didn't call you out, whatever, but they just split, man. They left you. You know what I'm saying? So I will say this right here, Anthony. Mm-hmm. If you get in office next year and you're mayor, and some of the people that you brought along with you, and they became what they would call naughty by nature. I wouldn't blame Anthony Diaz.
I would say. But here's the thing: it also depends on how do I handle that situation. Do I sweep it under the rug, or do I come out and publicly and say, "Hey, listen, being transparent, I brought these people in. These were my people. I need to be held accountable." That's the difference here. It's like, and that's why a lot of people want to make it between like, oh, it's Anthony versus Roz, and it's not. It's not.
No. This
I'm saying in general.
I'm going here. I'm just talking about two minds.
Yeah.
Our minds and the makeup of mankind. I found a book one time. They said it said the evolution of the human mind. Now people will attack, and even the reverends will attack the evolution of man, but the evolution of the human mind. And I find that book quite fascinating, because the evolution of the human mind is me riding my car now, and I don't have to use my telephone. My telephone is built into the car. Yeah. I got air conditioning, you know what I mean, and climate control in this thing, all kind of thing. But the evolution of the human mind, and that's one thing that we cannot control, is the behavior of others.
No, that is definitely fair. But that's the whole point. In like, a lot of the people that I bring around me don't necessarily agree with me 100% of the time. I can tell you that with absolutely, because too frustration. But I will tell you this: I have surrounded myself with some of the people that have the biggest hearts in the world.
Sure.
That are the most visionary of all time, even more so than me. A lot of hope. And I think, when you put these people in positions, and when you see that, that's the team that you're building. Sure. That's the Avengers or the X-Men team that I want in City Hall, is this people that no matter what position they are in, they are exuding positions or powers of hope. And I'll give you an example. Every time I go into City Hall, it's always a crapshoot of my experience. And the first person that sets the tone for that experience, it's always the security guard sitting down at the front desk. It's always. If they're in a good mood, let me tell you, that experience goes by very, very easy and very well. If they're in a bad mood, I can tell you it's going to be a long day at City Hall. So these are the kinds of things that I look at, that everybody in this city looks at.
Sure.
What is my experience when I go down there? Who am I interacting with? And if you go down there, you have a pleasant experience. You know what? Newark's not that bad. And that seed,
sure.
that's what I want to plant all over.
Well, I wish you all the luck. And I'm not saying that whatever, because I would have to be, a Looney Tunes not to say that I don't welcome your mind. Your mind at 35 years old. Your mind is tooled towards helping people. And that's really what it's all about. And I'm sure that even though people running against you or don't support you that way, has to have some respect for your mind, because you have that mind, from what I'm picking up, of the old civil rights leaders from back in the day. I can see that there. I can see that right there and everything. And so Anthony, we've talked. I enjoy being here in the company of your house. Is there anything else at this point of challenge that you would like to say and tell the people at this time on what you want to do?
I want to tell the people that, I've seen the city change a lot, for some good, some bad. But ultimately, Newark is what we want it to be. And we have the power within ourselves, if we organize, to face any challenge before us. But we have to be doing the work now. Whether you believe in me, whether you want to vote for me or not, plug yourself into an organization. Get involved with somebody that's helping do work in this community. Because I guarantee you, no matter what, you will not regret it. I have lived out most of my life being of service to others. And that's where I found the most reward. So please do yourself a favor and organize. Thank you.
Again, this is Zachariah Jackson, Bassett News, and we are happy to be here at Anthony's Diaz house and just talking to a young man with a powerful mind, a mind of today, but yesterday also, you know, and so I'm happy to interview you.
Thank you, sir.
And again, we'll be back again, and we'll meet in different venues. And hey, what else can we say but good night and keep hope alive. Thank you.